Hello everyone. Welcome back to the second part of the lesson, The Voter by Chinua Achebe. Now let us have a quick recapitulation of what was taught to you in the first part. The first part consisted of the information about the author, then importance of voting in the pre-reading activity, description of Rufus or KK, Umofia, the village that these people belong to, and Marcus Ibe. Election atmosphere in Umofia, meeting between Rufus and the village elders, advantages of Rufus being Marcus's right hand, agreement between Rufus and the village elders. So till then, we read or the lesson was explained to you. Now the next part of the lesson. The emergence of POP. Let us see what POP is. POP is a party that is Progressive Organization Party. Now it was formed by the tribes down the coast. POP's proclamation, they announced that they formed this party to save themselves from total political, cultural, social, and religious annihilation. Religious annihilation means religious destruction. So to save themselves from destruction in all these various aspects, they had formed that party. So POP had provided cars and loudspeakers to a few local rascals to go around and make a lot of noise. So these people, they stood against PAP, and that was Marcus's party, and the way of their conversing was they give cars and loudspeakers to these local antisocial elements, and they would just go all around the place making a lot of noise. Everybody knew that POP had let loose a considerable amount of money in Umofia, though it had no chance to win against PAP. So Marcus's party, as we know, we have got to know that from the very beginning, that it was a very powerful party. So in spite of knowing the fact about Marcus's party, that is PAP, People's Alliance Party, POP had let loose a lot of money in Umofia. It was giving a lot of money to the people clandestinely, secretly, and though they did not have any chance to win against PAP. So this was the emergence of POP. That was how and why POP was formed. People's POP, Progressive Organization Party. Discrete meeting between Rufus and POP campaigner. So in this we are going to talk about that secret meeting between Rufus and the POP campaigner. Everything was moving according to plan till the strange visit to Roof from the POP campaigner. Though the campaigner was known to Roof, but the visit was cold and businesslike. When that person, the POP campaigner, was actually the leader of the POP campaign team. So he was known to Rufus. They could not be called friends exactly, but they were well known to each other. But when he met Roof for this particular thing, the visit was extremely businesslike and cold. He placed 5 pounds on the floor before Roof and said, "We want your vote." So when this person came to meet Roof, no small talk was made, no time was wasted. He immediately came to the business that he had come there for. And he kept 5 pounds on the floor in front of Roof and said directly, "We want your vote." So these are the pounds here. Roof's eyes never left the red notes and he was mesmerized. I mean, immediately as those 5 pounds were kept, Roof was like all struck and starry-eyed immediately, looking at those, was dazzled with at the sight of these notes there, the red notes, and he was mesmerized. He was taken up, attracted towards them immediately. He could not take his eyes off those notes. And when Ruth told him that he worked for Marcus, the man said that Marcus would not be there while casting vote. So, though Ruth was attracted and immediately he could not take his eyes off those notes, and he kept on looking at the picture of those cocoa farmers harvesting the crops. That was the picture on the red notes. He was completely engrossed in that. Still, he told this thing to that man, to the POP campaigner, that it was a known thing that he worked for Marcus and he was very important for Marcus. So when he said that, the man said, well, Marcus would not be there when you cast your vote, so you can vote for Marcus. Ruth asked him if it would be heard outside that room, to which he said that they were afterwards not gossips. And Ruth was also concerned about his reputation, whether, because he came and he was offered those £5 and clearly told by that POP campaigner that either you accept this or don't, or either you accept this and vote for Maduka, that is the representative of POP, or you just don't accept it. So when all these things were spoken about, Ruth asked him, would it be heard outside? Would the other people get to know about it? So the man directly said that they were there only after votes and they were not after gossips. They were not interested in anything else. And that was the discreet meeting between Rufus and the POP campaigner. Now, what next? The trap. After the conversation between Ruth and the POP campaigner, that is the leader of the POP campaign team, an object covered with a red cloth was brought forward, was presented in front of Ruth. It was a clay pot with feathers stuck into it, the E from Mbanta. So that is, as soon as Ruth saw that, he could recognize that thing. It was a clay pot with feathers stuck into it, and he knew that it was the E from Mbanta. It is something which these, the local deity, which these Igbo people believed in and were extremely scared also of the consequences of coming into doing some things against the will of the deity and things like that. So that is a picture here. Ruth was asked to swear that he would vote for Maduka, and if he failed, the consequences were known to him. So as soon as he was presented with that clay pot, he understood its E from Mbanta, and Ruth was asked to take an oath that he would vote for Maduka, and if he did not do that, then Ruth knew what the consequences would be. So Ruth's heart nearly flew out on seeing the E. He realized that it was a trap. The moment Ruth saw that, the clay pot, he was so scared that he could feel that his heart literally flew out. And he understood that now he had fallen into a trap. Because of the questions that he asked, it was clear that he was interested. He had already fallen into trap by looking at those £5 and wanting to get them. And then they produced the clay pot, which represented the E from Mbanta. So Ruth understood that he had been trapped by these people. He promised to cast his vote for Maduka, though he told the POP campaigner that Maduka had no chance against Marcus. So finally, Ruth could not do anything, but he said that I will cast my paper for Maduka. That's a promise. But it's known that Marcus has no chance, Maduka has no chance against Marcus. Marcus is definitely going to win, and that's a fact known by everyone. The campaigner said that it was enough if he got a few votes in the ongoing election. People would know that Maduka gave pounds, not shillings. So, this was a very major point spoken by that person here. He says that we are just trying to launch ourselves. This time, even if Maduka got a few votes, at least people would get to know that Maduka paid in pounds and not shillings. That takes us back to the first part of the story where I told you about the whispering campaign and the campaign boys roaming around at night with those fancy jute bags with shillings in it and distributing shillings, and the meeting between Rufus and the elders where he gave 4 shillings to each elder after then the deal was sealed between them. So those things, that is why this person said that the people are going to get to know that Maduka, he doesn't pay in shillings but he pays in pounds. At least that would be known to the people. So that was the trap in which Roof found himself trapped. The next part now is election morning. So finally, the day of the election arrives. There were weather-beaten posters on walls of houses, tree trunks and telegraph poles. So as per the rule, quite a number of hours, all the conversing and everything has to come to an end, should not be done. And so election mornings are pretty quiet. The posters that are put up on all these various places on the walls and the poles and everything, they were all weather beaten and they could be seen all around the place. A high life band was hired from Umuru and stationed at a distance, managing to be lawful. So without breaking the rules, being lawful, Marcus, he got a high life band. High life band means a well-known band from a place known as Umuru, and he asked that band to be stationed at a distance from the election booth. Okay, so there it was present entertaining the people. So that was about it. Marcus sat in the owner's corner of his enormous green car. Marcus was a person who was very much interested in getting to know every detail of the election. So he was very much present at that particular site, and he sat in his huge green car in that owner's corner. He was there looking into everything and inspecting everything that was happening all around. Now, here's the green car. Roof tried to have a humorous conversation with the ladies and reminded them at the same time to cast their votes in the box with the car on it and not the box with a man's head on it. So here, this is how the election morning had dawned, with Marcus, with the band, with the posters, and on the other hand, Roof was trying his best till the end, trying to convince people, trying to do all that he could, making a humorous conversation with the ladies, trying to crack jokes with them. But within the jokes, he was reminding them that they had come to cast their votes, and they should cast the vote or keep that paper, put the paper in the box which had the car on it and not the box with the man's head. So that tells us that the symbol of PAP was car and POP was a man's head, and they cracked jokes about the symbol of POP, and they all laughed and had a good time. But Roof was at the same time doing all that he could. So that shows us the manipulative and the smart side of Roof, that he knew how to deal with people, he could understand the psychology of the people and talk to them accordingly. He knew how to twist the understanding or the minds of the people according to his convenience or that particular situation. He knew how to get his way through the ideas or through the thoughts of people so that his idea is conveyed, his message is conveyed, and the people do accordingly. So that tells us about the smart and manipulative nature of Roof here. Okay, the people danced to the music played by the band, and the people were very happy, enjoying themselves, and while they came to cast their votes, so they danced too because of the band that was playing. The next part is finally Rufus's litmus test. Now the test of time arrives for Rufus. Finally, Rufus was asked by Marcus to be the first among the campaign boys to vote. Rufus, as I told you, was Marcus's right hand and the most important person for him. So before the other boys could go, Marcus asked Ruf to come and let him be the first person amongst the campaign boys to go and cast his vote. Rufus, as soon as he heard that, his spirits fell. He was all in high spirits. He was running all around, laughing, cracking jokes, and doing all that he could, and looking at Marcus and getting his appreciation at the same time. Marcus too smiling at Rufus. Everything seemed to be all perfect. Till the moment Marcus asked Ruf to stop everything and go and vote. So Rufus's spirits fell then. And he remembered his worry, which he had masked all morning. All of a sudden, he was reminded of that worry that he had, that today was the time when he had to do something that he had been trapped into. So all that came all of a sudden alive in his mind, and he had just masked it since morning all the time, but now it had come alive into his mind. He ran to the booth, took the ballot, and remembered that he had sworn on the EE. So he quickly ran inside the booth, and the initial checking and all, whatever takes place, he was given the paper. And then as soon as he got that ballot, he remembered that he had sworn on the EE. So he folded the paper and tore it in two and put one half into each box, first half into Maduka's box, saying out loudly, "I vote for Maduka." So Ruf was in such a terrible state, dilemma, for some time. He started thinking when he saw the ballot and when he went inside the booth, and he could hear the people standing outside, the officials, that what is taking him so much of time. At that very moment, Ruf was immediately brought to the present, and he forgot everything, and he immediately took the decision. He folded the paper in two and tore it. One half, the very first half, he dropped into the box which had the man's head, that was for Maduka, and said loudly, "I vote for Maduka." And the other half he put into the box that had the car on it, which was Marcus's party's. So in this way, Ruf got rid of his guilt and ran out of the booth. So finally, Ruf did his job. All of a sudden, his conscience made him realize that he had done a wrong thing by taking an oath or swearing on the E in spite of being working for Marcus for such a long time. So he did not try to do something by going against neither the E nor Marcus. That is how he absolved himself out of the guilt. So the conclusion here is election process is white, grey and black. Well, election process is something which has all these shades. White because it is meticulously handled. There are so many ways and process, and I mean so many rules and regulations attached to it. So it is meticulously handled. Grey because people find ways out in spite of the rules and regulations which are so strict. People find ways out according to their convenience, and that's due to their whims and fancies. So that is why it is grey. Black because there is a lot of crime and corruption associated with election process. So that makes election process all white, grey and black at the same time. One shouldn't be under the influence of others while casting their vote. So another conclusion that we can draw from this lesson is that we shouldn't be influenced by others. Our vote is our right. Voting is a right of every individual in a democratic setup, and we should use it properly. Okay? So instead of being under somebody's influence. Election is a process which decides the future of a nation. Thus, it should be full of divinity. Election is a very important process that any democracy has, and that is why, and because it decides the future of the nation, so it has to have divinity, it has to have purity about it, and there shouldn't be any midways in it. So this is the conclusion of the story here. I hope all of you understood the lesson well, both the parts, the first and the second. I would suggest you to go through the video again and see what all things are there that would help register the story in a better manner. So thank you everyone. That's about it. Have a good day.